Good morning, girls. I am all bundled up and cozy. While it is just the last few days of August, I think there's 3 days of August left, it was 42 degrees when I woke up this morning. I'm like, oh my goodness, we just got back from vacation where it was unbelievably hot. And typically in August here in the Midwest, it is very warm as well, but we came home to very fall-like weather. Now, when you're seeing this video, it is September, so we can officially segment into fall content after today's video. It feels a little weird filming fall content because it is still August, but not that weird, to be honest with you. I have a beautiful spiced oatmeal candle burning behind me that is made of the most incredible ingredients. I will have this linked for you in the description box down below because you know how I feel. I'm always using my diffuser because I never want to burn something that is hormone disruptive. As a functional nutritionist and a women's hormone health expert, that is the last thing that I want to do. I work all day, every day to optimize my hormones. And ironically enough, that's exactly what we are covering in today's video. And so I figured I made it a little bit cozy in here today. I put on a long sleeve shirt underneath my sweater because I think it's only gonna get up to like 60 degrees maybe, and that's not for another few hours. So I figured let's get cozy. And today, let's kind of go back to basics and talk about some simple habits to balance your hormones naturally. Because with the shift in season, I find that our bodies begin to notice far beyond when we do, that the days are getting shorter, so the sun isn't coming out as earlier, it is setting a little bit earlier, the weather is changing, and with that, as women, we begin to crave those pumpkin spice flavors, but that is because it is for good reason. Those grounding spices like the cinnamon and the nutmeg, all of those things are nutrients that our body is actually craving. The yearn to eat root vegetables like Japanese yam and squash and pumpkin, that's because your body intuitively begins to shift with the season. And so I figured for today's video, we can really distill it down and take it back to some basics. And so I'm gonna share with you 5 habits, a few that you've heard, many that you have not, 5 habits that you can do to begin to shift your hormones and support them naturally. Okay, so we've got our strawberries washed and I'm washing our grapes right now, both beautiful sources of antioxidants, vitamin C and fiber. So many of the women that I work with in my one-on-one nutrition practice and in my membership site, Living Well, begin noticing things like fatigue and brain fog, mood swings and irregular cycles. And they come to me and they're like, Jessica, is this stress? What's happening? I haven't made any changes in my life, or am I moving into perimenopause? And so it can be a really interesting conversation, and one that I'm having so much more frequently, especially the more that I've been sharing about perimenopause and menopause and the transition that women are going through, and the fact that I have been on hormone replacement therapy now for 11 months. I've been on hormone replacement therapy for 11 months. So the more openly that I've been speaking about this, the more and more the conversation has been coming up, which makes me so happy because when I have these conversations with the women in my practice, their labs look completely normal. There are a few strategic tests that we can take a deeper peek at to see if perhaps you are moving towards perimenopause, but typically the normal run-of-the-mill labs look completely normal, but they feel like a shell of themselves. They're 39 years old, they're 43 years old, and suddenly they're experiencing 23-day cycles, 26-day cycles, after typically having a perfect 28-day cycle every single month for years on end. So today, the tips that I'm going to share are going to talk about how we can, one, do things from a nutritional standpoint to balance our hormones, and in addition to that, things that we can look out for if perhaps you are moving into that phase of life. And I know it can seem really scary and overwhelming, especially because the conversation around menopause and perimenopause had quite literally been non-existent. But then even when it was spoken to in such a negative connotation. It kind of is like the example I have given for years, where the term hormone used to have such a negative association to it, like, oh, she's just hormonal. Well, one, both men and women have hormones, okay? And next to that, what does that even mean? She's just hormonal? Like, that quite literally has no direct definition, that phrase and that saying. So if they mean that hormones are shifting and changing, yeah, that happens every single day. It happens every single day of the month for women. So as we move through today's video, I'm really excited because I want to share with you the exact strategies that I would share with a one-on-one client or a member inside Living Well if they came to me experiencing fatigue, experiencing irregular cycles, or starting to notice that things are shifting and changing. The first thing I would address is, of course, none other than nutrition. As a functional nutritionist, to me, this is the most important conversation that we can quite literally have. Food is the raw ingredients. Food is chemistry, and this chemistry influences your hormones all day, every day. So from the moment you wake up until you go to bed, everything that you consume influences and has an impact on your hormone health. I don't say that to overwhelm you or scare you. I say that to let you know that you hold extreme power in the choices that you make on a daily basis to consume certain foods and or to avoid certain foods. So one of the biggest disruptors that I see when it comes to hormone health is blood sugar instability. So I have been sharing for almost 2 years now this protein journey. It will be 2 years come October, it will be 2 years since I really shifted my approach because I was 39 years old at the time. Yeah, I was 39 years old and I was noticing the need for more protein because I was working out. I wasn't really seeing the results. I was noticing that I was losing a lot of muscle. So I had shifted over to consuming a higher protein diet. And so that doesn't mean that I'm not consuming fiber, my favorite nutrient of all time, on a daily basis and on a meal by meal basis. Every single meal, I'm consuming protein, fat, and fiber, and strategic carbs when it makes sense, based on the time of day and based on my cycle. But blood sugar, when we are on a blood sugar roller coaster, so what could that look like? Maybe it's you're waking up in the morning and you come into your kitchen and the first thing that you do is pour a little bit of the Chobani creamer into your coffee mug. No shade to the Chobani creamer, but let's just say you're pouring the Chobani pumpkin spice creamer into your coffee mug, and then you're pouring your coffee, and that's the first thing that you're consuming when you start your day. What that's going to do is that's going to send a signal to your adrenal glands. They are little triangles and they sit above your kidneys here on your back. It's going to send a signal to your adrenal glands that they are under attack and under stress. And that is going to spike your blood sugar up like this. And from there, you're going to crash down. And then with that crash, you're going to either crave more coffee or perhaps a sugary breakfast. Maybe it's a breakfast bar. You eat that and you spike up again and then you crash back down. Do you see the roller coaster pattern? That is not what we want. That is extremely disruptive to our hormone health. This impacts our progesterone, which is our body's, I say, nature's Xanax. It is our beauty hormone. And when cortisol is high, progesterone is low. So we want to stabilize. We do want higher levels of cortisol in the morning, a beautiful bell curve, I call it, but we do want higher levels of cortisol, but we don't want it up and down all day. We want that beautiful bell curve. So if you wake up in the morning and you make my lemon ginger tonic, you put a little salt under your tongue, then you wash it down, you consume that. You have my protein rich coffee, which has 35 grams of protein, which is unbelievable for your digestive system, and we're gonna get to liver and gut health later in the video because we're really like rolling up our sleeves today. It's scientific, but absolutely applicable and easy to understand and comprehend. Don't you worry. But you have that protein coffee that has 35 grams of protein, and then perhaps you have a breakfast like this one, where it's rich in protein and fiber and healthy fat. You have some beautiful protein via animal protein over a bed of arugula. You have 2 hard-boiled eggs or scrambled eggs with a little bit of yogurt, a seed mixture on top with some fresh berries and some local honey. That's a beautiful way to stabilize your blood sugar first thing in the morning. Because when we are on the blood sugar roller coaster, it is impossible for our endocrine system to be optimized and to function properly. So for me, getting at least 20 to 25 grams of protein and I'm gonna make it so easy for you, ready? And 20 to 25 grams of fiber at each meal is honestly just the easiest way for all of us to remember that you're checking the boxes to stabilize your blood sugar and thus support your hormones, from your progesterone to your estrogen to your testosterone, and especially your thyroid hormones. Our thyroid function is so hyper-dependent on those adrenal glands, those little triangles that sit above our kidneys, that honestly take a beating. They are a punching bag. And so when we can support them with 20 to 25 grams of fiber and protein at each meal, it is an absolute game changer for your hormone health and a first-class ticket to feeling your absolute best throughout the day and not having those energy spikes and crashes. My second habit is using real-time data. I am the biggest fan of using real-time data. I have talked about my sleep score and my steps and how I use this information to really make some pretty prolific changes in my life. In addition to that, I have talked with you all about my fertility journey. And when we were doing our fertility planning, our family planning, very early on in my YouTube channel, I talked about this. In addition, I frequently talk about how we can use our cycle to work with our body rather than against it. And so I am a big fan of understanding not only where you are in your cycle, but how that impacts your energy, your mood, and how you show up in the world on a day-to-day basis. In my practice, I have been recommending the Mira, and this is a comprehensive and incredible tool that I have my clients using because this is a FDA 99% accurate lab grade measuring tool that measures our hormones like FSH, LH, your E3G, and your PDG, all right from home. Now, you all have been asking me for the longest time how we know whether or not we're in perimenopause, transitioning into menopause, and what that looks like. And I say to you that there are some labs that are indicators for us that you might be leaning towards this transition. Well, the beautiful news is a tool like Mira allows you access to this information on a day-to-day basis. So you can see in real time how your body is responding to your life situations, to your sleep, and during different seasons of your cycle. So we all know that if you're somebody who really struggles in your luteal phase, it would be a beautiful opportunity for you to take a peek at where your hormones are at. Because as I was saying in my practice, we can then make some really strategic changes. So in my nutrition practice, I hear on a daily basis from women that are dealing with mood swings, changes in their skin, irregular cycles, brain fog, and fatigue. And they're often wondering, like, is this perimenopause or am I just dealing with a really stressful time in life? And that's where having a tool like Mira is such a beautiful way to get some in real time answer. So Mira is the first of its kind because it is the very first at-home monitor built to track the menopause transition with FDA listed lab grade accuracy. I mean, you all know that I am such a huge fan of using our numbers and our data to make real life changes. So Mira, as I was saying, measures your FSH, your LH, your E3G, and your PDG. So we can finally see these hormone shifts in real time from the comfort of your own home. So imagine walking into your next OB appointment or your appointment with your primary care physician or an appointment with your nutritionist and not just having a list of symptoms that you've been experiencing, but having actual hormone patterns in hand that you have data to show for. That, to me, as a practitioner, is a life-changing asset and tool. It not only validates what you've been feeling and experiencing, because so many of us are in that position where we're experiencing or feeling something and then we try to articulate it and say something to our care team. And it's really hard because we're like, well, I feel tired. And they're like, well, are you getting enough sleep? I think so. Are you eating enough? Are you getting in your greens? Are you checking all of the boxes? And sometimes you are. You know that there's something deeper happening. And that's where having an asset and a tool like Mira is incredible because it gives you a roadmap for nutrition, lifestyle, and even considerations about potentially making HRT part of your journey. So for me, as a practitioner and as a 41-year-old woman, Mira bridges the gap between symptoms and solutions. This type of data gives us the opportunity to find the solutions that we need to help with anything that you may be currently struggling with. So inside the kit, you're going to find your Mira monitor in this really cute case. And along with your monitor, you will have your different testing wands. And all of this data, here's where it gets really fun, syncs with the app. And that's when you can begin to notice patterns. I'm a huge fan of pattern recognition and diving into the data and the research that we have on hand, on our phone, on our devices that really can paint a beautiful picture to help us deeply understand what may be happening with our hormones as we begin to transition into a different phase of life. So in my life and in my practice, I use this data to make lifestyle changes, nutrition changes, changes to my movement. And seeing these numbers has not only been a turning point for me, but also for my clients because they finally, as I was saying, feel validated with so many of the things that they've been experiencing in their body and in their mind, where they feel so different or they feel just adjacent to how they typically feel when they get in their movement, they get their greens, they get their sleep, but something just feels off. Well, having access to this data helps them feel not only empowered, but aligned to make those changes, like I was saying, to your lifestyle factors, your movement, your supplementation, and of course, your nutrition. So I know for myself and for the few clients that have been using this, having this data and walking into your practitioner's office helps you feel so confident with the conversation that you're about to have. It's a really beautiful way to merge these trends with your symptoms to see where we can make some insightful changes to help you feel your best. So if you're somebody who's starting to wonder about the changes happening in your body, and I know so many of you are, based on a video I did a few months ago on what I eat in a day for perimenopause, I will have that linked for you in the description box down below. But the response to that was unbelievable. So I know so many of you are curious about the changes that are happening inside of your body, and using a tool like Mira is a beautiful way to get clarity and confidence as to what's happening on your hormone journey on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So I will have my link and my code for you in the description box down below, as well as the first pinned comment. So you can go ahead and feel extremely empowered and check out the Mira hormone tracking device. Because I know so many of you are similar to me and you love access to data and to numbers and to deeply understand what's happening in your body. So I know that Mira will become a cornerstone of your routine. And I'm so excited to share tools like this with you, with my community of women who want to feel empowered and clear and confident and validated in their body and their life and their experiences. And so that's why sharing a tool with Mira with each and every one of you is honestly such an exciting find for me, one, and number two, something I feel honored and grateful to be able to bring to this incredible community of women, because I know you girls deeply and you're not satisfied with hearing things like Your labs look fine. Everything looks normal. I know you. And that's not something that you feel comfortable settling for. So Mira will absolutely become a cornerstone of your routine to get real-time, accurate, trend-driven data that you can review and make changes with. So again, I will have my link and my code for you in the description box down below, where you can check out Mira and you can double down on the second habit by using data to make substantial changes in your life that leave you feeling empowered, validated, and more than anything, you will be able to see progress more efficiently and more effectively when we can deeply understand with data what's happening inside of our body. Okay, so my third habit that I would highly encourage each and every one of you to include on a daily basis is a stress and nervous system reset. This can be as elaborate or as simplistic as you would like. Chronic stress is the fastest way. It is truly like a speed train to hormone disruption. Chronic stress, as I mentioned earlier, depletes your progesterone levels. And what this does is it can disrupt ovulation, which is imperative to have healthy levels of progesterone. And it can also contribute to weight gain, especially around the midsection. So we all know those times of life when it is super stressful. And we all will have these moments, these prolonged moments that unfortunately, perhaps things are out of our control. Perhaps there's a really big deadline at work. Maybe things at home are a little bit stressful. So we all are going to be put in situations where there is stress, there's immediate stress, and there's prolonged stress. What I'm imploring each and every one of you to do is to come up with a way to reset your nervous system and work with your stress rather than against it. And as I said, this can be as elaborate or as efficient as you would like. One of my favorite ways to do this is to take my lemon ginger tonic outside in the morning on the back porch. First thing in the morning, I've already put the minerals under my tongue. I've already had my first sip of my lemon ginger tonic. I go outside, screen free. I will, record it with my phone sometimes, but I go outside, I take a big deep inhale, and then I look up in the sky indirectly at the sun, and I get that vitamin D in my eyes. I can hear nature. I can hear the birds. I can hear the wind. I can hear the sound of the cars driving down the street. And what that does is that forces me to be hyper present with where my body is. If I'm not distracted, if I'm not being pulled in a million different directions, I can be where my feet are. And using your senses, so taking that big deep inhale, smelling the air outdoors, looking up into the sky indirectly at the sun. One, it's amazing for your vitamin D levels and your circadian rhythm, helpful for your cortisol, your melatonin production, many of other things. But it's also sensory for a nervous system reset. Then listening to those sounds. So we're smelling, we're looking, we're listening. I'm listening to those sounds, whether it is a car driving by my house, whether it's the birds, whether it's the wind, whether it's my mug of my lemon ginger tonic, sitting it down on the table after I take a sip. And then I take a sip of the lemon ginger tonic. I'm really leaning into those senses. And I shared in a video a few weeks ago about also at that point, I'm still cozy. I'm in my robe. I love the feel of texture. I am definitely a texture person. I love soft fabrics. This is like super cozy on the inside. I love to sleep in like beautiful soft pajamas. I love my linen robe or my waffle robe in the summer months. I love a cashmere robe or like a thicker terry cloth robe moving into the fall and the winter months. But feeling all of these things, using all of my senses, immediately resets my nervous system first thing in the morning. That is my biggest hack. Now, if you can't get out first thing in the morning, and by the way, that entire thing that I just went over with you takes me 5 minutes. It truly maximum, I'm out there for maybe 10 minutes, and that's only in the summer months. Like truly in the fall, I'm out there for 5 to 8 minutes. I would value to say we all have 5 to 8 minutes each and every morning to bring in all of those senses and reset our nervous system. But if you don't, because everybody's life situation is different, then I would implore you to look into a different avenue. Perhaps it's going out for a walk. So my kids are going to be getting off the bus in 15 minutes from now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out, and I like to do a 10-minute walk before I get the kids off the bus. Again, feeling the feeling of my feet on the ground, walking. I'm not scrolling on TikTok. I'm not going to be listening to an audiobook or a podcast. I'm going to be listening to the sounds of the air as I pass through, as the car is driving by, as the bus pulling into the neighborhood. I can hear the brakes and that swoosh sound. I can feel the ground underneath me. I can smell the fresh cut grass. I maybe can smell that the season is shifting slightly. But bringing in, getting that sunlight into my eyes after staring at a screen is complicated as on. I'm not staring at it. I'm here with you girls. But getting all of those, using all of those senses is a beautiful way to reset your nervous system, okay? And now if you can't do any of that, which I would encourage you to try and do at least one of those things. Now, if you can't do any of that, because everybody's life situation is different, everybody's days are different, okay? And this video is never to put pressure on you, but if you can't do any of that, then I would encourage you to do a really simple one, and that is either a lavender balm, where you take lavender, or you can do a peppermint balm, where you take peppermint and you simply, truly, this is so simplistic, take one drop. That was 3. One drop on your hand. It smells so good. You rub your hands together really quickly for 10 seconds. And then you inhale. And you're going to do this 3 times. Rub. Inhale. Inhale. Girls, honestly, so that was peppermint. So that was more of a euphoric feeling. Now, if you're feeling stressed, then I would encourage you to go the lavender route. Like, that makes sense, right? To help calm and soothe your body, I would encourage you to go the lavender route. And the reason why this is so imperative is the nervous system is the thermostat for your hormones. So if you've got the thermostat turned all the way up, your hormones are going to be going offline like crazy. Also, if you have the thermostat turned all the way down, your hormones are going to be in hibernation mode and they're not going to be able to function properly. So when your nervous system is overloaded, everything else goes downstream when it comes to our hormone health. So when your body feels supported, it can actually begin to heal. It can truly heal with the nutrition that we spoke about. With the tracking via our Mira, we can use those tracking devices to make substantial changes to support our hormones and our nervous system. But if our thermostat is completely offline, then our nervous system is erratically running the show, which is not what we want it to be doing. So I would highly encourage you girls to take this habit, all 5 habits, but this 3rd habit and the first one and the second one to heart. That it really is as simplistic or as elaborate as you would like to make it. 5 minutes outside, put your feet in the grass, look up, drink the tonic, listen, smell, taste, touch, all of the things. Go on the walk for 10 minutes before the bus comes in, or do a peppermint balm or a lavender balm. And really get your thermostat back online. Make sure you're supporting your ovulation and your progesterone, because that is so imperative for our body if we are going through hormonal changes, or if we want to proactively get ahead of any potential hormone changes that may be in the future. The more resilient your nervous system is, the more supported your nervous system is, the easier and more adaptable you will be, and your endocrine system will absolutely mirror and reflect that. you're a member of Living Well, then you know that we have dozens and dozens of spritzer recipes on my membership site. So I still have to add the sparkling water, but so far I have in here all of my minerals, fresh squeezed grapefruit juice, 1 ounce of it, some fresh grapefruit that I muddled together with some mint, and then a little grapefruit on the side just to give it that pizzazz. And then I'm going to be adding in the ruby red tangerine from Waterloo. You girls, this has been a fan favorite this summer. I hope it's not a seasonal flavor. Honest to goodness, this is one of my absolute favorites, but I am the biggest fan of making mineral spritzers. So if you've been a subscriber of my channel for any period of time, then you know that this is absolutely a habit I am the biggest fan of. So the fourth habit that I would highly encourage you to include on a daily basis is mineral replenishment. So there are a few different ways we can do this. The one way that I talk about so frequently is just taking a little bit of mineral salt. This is fresh mineral salt that I got from me and all of my best girlfriends and my mom in Portugal. And so one of the easiest ways to replenish your minerals first thing in the morning is take a little bit of mineral salt, just a little pinch, and then you're gonna take it, put it under your tongue, in the buccal there, hold it for 30 seconds, and then drink down your lemon ginger tonic first thing in the morning. Easy breezy, check, check. Super simple way to replenish your minerals first thing in the morning. Then every single day, especially in the warmer months like it has been, every single day, I am a huge fan of making a spritzer. And so a spritzer or a mocktail, whatever you want to call it, the reason why I'm such a huge fan of this is one, aesthetically, it romanticizes your life. It's really nourishing to your cortisol levels for many of reasons, the minerals being one of them. Next to that is a pretty drink, but it is also very functional. And so when you replenish your minerals, the minerals are actually the spark plugs of your body. They are required for literally every single hormone production and detoxification step in your body. Every single one. So every hormonal step, every detox step, phase 1 and phase 2 require minerals. And so magnesium, zinc, potassium, sodium are especially critical for women. And women tend to run very low in these minerals. So magnesium, of course, calms our nervous system. You've heard me talk about that so much. It also supports your progesterone. Zinc is essential for ovulation and boosting your immune system. Potassium stabilizes our blood sugar. It also supports our adrenal health. Remember the adrenal glands, girls? The ones that sit right here, the little triangles above our kidneys. Yeah, potassium is essential for that and balancing our adrenals and our cortisol health. Hold on, I'm like moving you and try not to knock over my drink. Then as women, we often are told to avoid salt, which I will never, ever advise you to avoid salt. I just told you to pop it under your tongue first thing in the morning and then drink down your tonic. But most women are told to avoid salt, and we do. We want to avoid highly processed salt, of course, but that leads us to be sodium deficient. And if you're sodium deficient and you are under a high amount of stress, it is extremely hard on your cortisol levels. So I love using tools like making a delicious spritzer. And of course, using ingredients like fresh squeezed grapefruit juice, grapefruit, mint. Mint is incredible for your digestive system, both your phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification system. Mint is also amazing for your cortisol levels. Mint is beautiful for your nervous system, which going back to our last tip, mint is amazing for your nervous system. So tip 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 all build beautifully on each other. So using a tool like a spritzer is one of my favorite ways to bring this habit to life, to bring this mineral replenishment to life. And so use salt at any time. You can use pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are something that my kids pretty much eat every single night as a snack. They are a huge fan of eating pumpkin seeds. I also make fresh pumpkin seed butter, or you can use, and I will have all of my favorite minerals linked for you in the description box down below under my Fullscript account, but you can use these different minerals, and I do give minerals to the kids as well. So it's a win-win for everybody, but also doing things like eating leafy greens, eating pumpkin seeds, drinking mineral-rich bone broth is a beautiful way to replenish your mineral levels. And then of course, drinking mineral water. So there are so many beautiful options. The thing is that if your mineral levels are steady, then your hormones have a foundation to thrive. Steady mineral status leads to beautiful, thriving hormonal function. And so I think it's really important to bring this habit in. As simplistic or as complicated, that's not complicated. If I were to check the footage, I'm almost certain that took me 2.5 minutes to put together, and I was making it look, fancier by having it all out here for you. But truly, it takes me 1 to 2 minutes to throw one of these spritzers together. It is so easy. And it's a beautiful way to nourish your nervous system, bringing that foundational nutrition. Tip number 1. Tip number 3, nourish your nervous system. And you could even check in with your Mira data while you're enjoying a spritzer. That would be a really great way to kind of bring all of these tips together. And I just think that spritzers are such a fun way for us as women to really thrive, romanticize our lives, and to enjoy our time in the kitchen, all while replenishing our minerals. Girls, I am making an electrolyte, and how cute is this look right now? So I just used the Thorn electrolytes, and then I added a little bit of beetroot powder, and that's what gives it that really cute color. I'm also adding in a scoop of my creatine. This is my second scoop of the day. So I will be at, pretty darn good. Made it in there, a little bit of a spill, but that just gives me an opportunity to show you my favorite fall countertop cleaner. But with this second scoop, I will be at 10 grams of creatine. So I've been doing always 5 grams of creatine, but I will say probably since February of 2025, end of January, but February I got really consistent with doing 10 grams of creatine per day. So 5 in the protein coffee, and then I will do about 5 a little bit later. But this is so delicious. So I did spill a little bit here on the countertop. Before I go over my 5th tip with you, I have to show you. Oh my goodness, girls, oh my goodness. The new Levant, can't see it. Let's see if I can block, hold on. There, okay. I'm trying to block with my body the sun, but the new Levant Amber Santal, when I tell you this smells like a luxury 5-star resort, but make it fall. Oh my goodness, this smells so incredible. I just filmed a little story set on Instagram yesterday, sharing the entire collection because I have switched over my entire hand and dish soap. That's better lighting, you'll be able to see it. It's just because it's such pretty gold foil. It's hard to see with the reflection of the big window behind you, girls. But this smells amazing. And the thing about Levant is that it cleans so well, and it just cleaned up all of that spilled creatine, which kind of has nothing to do with my 5th tip that I'm about to share with you, girls. But hydration has a huge part of what I want to share with you, girls, on my 5th habit for today, because hydration does play a key, critical role with phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. Okay, that is all cleaned up, so now I can focus. So my 5th habit is one that I see overlooked so frequently, not only in my private nutrition practice, but inside my membership site, Living Well, and that is liver and gut support. These two systems together are like the unsung heroes when it comes to deep-rooted hormone health. Your liver metabolizes estrogen and packages it up so that your body can either metabolize and or detoxify it. And if your liver is burdened because you're not waking up first thing in the morning, doing the salt under the tongue, drinking the lemon ginger tonic, so spoiler alert, this 5th habit can be checked off really efficiently and first thing in the morning with your lemon ginger tonic. But if you're waking up in the morning and you're not first thing putting those minerals under the tongue, drinking it down with the lemon ginger tonic, then it can become overburdened with estrogen and sluggish. And so when it cannot package and eliminate the estrogen, it really can bog down that phase 2 detoxification of our liver pathway. And then what this does is it causes estrogen to recirculate. And the problem with this recirculating estrogen is that it can lead to heavy periods, mood swings, restless sleep. So insomnia is a really big one that I see when our liver is bogged down, because the liver uses that time when we're resting to really purge and detoxify. That's why waking up first thing in the morning and drinking the lemon ginger tonic is a really effective way to help your liver out. And sure, of course, Our bodies naturally know how to detox. Your liver naturally knows how to detox. Unfortunately, our day-to-day lifestyle, so drinking out of plastic containers, this is not plastic, but drinking out of plastic, surrounding yourself with synthetic fragrances, not the natural plant-based fragrances that I just shared with Levant, but using cleaning products that do have endocrine disrupting products and toxins in them can overburden your liver. So of course, our liver does innately know how to detox, of course it does, but our modern day lifestyle, our food practices, and our environment around us can overburden the liver so that it has a hard time eliminating this excess estrogen. And then there's the gut. So once the liver has packaged up that estrogen, it moves it into the gut, and the gut is responsible for elimination. So if your gut cannot move out this excess estrogen, whether it's due to constipation and or having an overgrowth of bad bacteria, all of these things are contributors as to why your gut would not be able to mobilize and move out this estrogen that the liver has just worked so hard to package and move into the gut for your body to effectively move through. So when your microbiome in your gut is out of balance, then that estrogen can actually get reabsorbed into the body. And when that happens, it actually can signal, remember those little triangles? It can signal to the adrenal glands that we are in distress. And then it pushes us to produce more cortisol. And so I hope that by this point in the video, you can see how cohesively all 5 of these habits work really beautifully with each other. They build upon each other, number 1. They work beautifully together. And number 3, number 3, it is not a huge overhaul of your life. I'm asking you to put salt under your tongue, to drink the lemon ginger tonic, to stabilize your nervous system, and to pay attention to your data. So these aren't things that take a 30-day cleanse. This is something that you can do in one day. This is something that you can quite honestly do in one morning in a very condensed period of time. But what happens is when we recirculate that estrogen that didn't get moved through the gut, we recirculate that into the bloodstream, that can cause a whole host of problems, one that I see on a daily basis in my nutrition practice. So some simple strategies for this one is the fiber. Remember the fiber that we talked about? So 25 grams of protein with each meal and 25 grams of fiber. In addition to that, when we're adding in more fiber, whether it is soluble and or insoluble fiber, fiber is an incredible tool for helping move out this excess estrogen and or this packaged estrogen that we have already detoxed. So fiber is a really beautiful way to do that, but fiber requires movement. And in order to make fiber move, we need to be hydrated. That's why I always say, first thing in the morning, flush out your digestive system with the lemon ginger tonic. That is hydration, that is detoxifying, and of course we're adding in the minerals. So it is a triple whammy right there. But also throughout the day, I want you to continue on that pathway of hitting at least 25 grams of fiber and protein at each meal. That does require proper hydration. And through adding in things like electrolytes, we're hitting our mineral status here right now, but we're also allowing that hydration to really work to our advantage, because if we're just drinking tons and tons of water without adding in minerals, we just flush. We can flush out the good and we can flush out the bad. We want to make our hydration work for us. So we're bringing in the fiber to work with our gut and our liver. We're doing that with each and every meal, but then we're also helping to assist our gut and our liver with proper hydration. Of course, the hydration keeps our digestive system moving, but it also helps to continue to flush out that bile flow. So both from the liver and the gut standpoint, hydration is critical when it comes to focusing on our hormone health. So this ultimately is functional nutrition, and it's nutrition that most women aren't taught. And there's so much about our hormone health that is hyper dependent on our lifestyle factors, our foods that we consume, the hydration that we choose to drink, the data that we measure on a daily basis. All of this at the end of the day is foundational and functional nutrition. And collectively, it makes the biggest difference in our hormone health. So for me personally, I always like to take a lifestyle approach. So changing my habits, changing my environment to meet me where I'm at. In addition to that, bringing in strategic tools like using the mirror. And if you're interested, of course, I will have my link for you in the description box down below, as well as the first pinned comment with my code so that you can save 20%. But using tools like the mirror and using the other assets that we spoke about and using the other habits that we spoke about in today's video work really beautifully and synergistically together to help impact your hormones in a really positive way that, again, doesn't feel like a complete lifestyle overhaul. So more than anything, I hope that when you leave my videos with clarity and confidence, knowing what next steps to take, knowing that what you do in your home and in your kitchen can make a tremendous impact on your hormone health, and that you can begin to notice changes pretty quickly. And so I would love to hear from you. Out of the 5 habits that I shared today, let me know in the comment section now, what are the habits that you're already incorporating into your daily routine? And what is one habit that you're most excited to try to make an impact and make a change in your hormone health? And as always, if you liked today's video, you can let me know by giving it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm always so grateful for your time, and I hope that you were able to gain valuable insights from today's video. And if you did, then I would love for you to consider subscribing. The subscribe button is right over here on the screen. Give that a click, that way you don't miss a single video, and I hope to see you back here next Thursday.